And now we are joined by Ms. Bonnie Price.
Hello.
Hello,
Bonnie.
And we're also joined by Ahmed Serious Face.
For a second, and then
Ahmed Serious Face.
Well, thank you for joining us, Bonnie Price. Bonnie L. Price. I'm
Bonnie
sorry,
L. Price.
I didn't mean to shorten your name. I know that's an offensive thing to do nowadays.
Jeez.
But welcome. Thank you for writing Song of the Depths. And tell us about Song of the Depths. Tell us, where did this damn book come from?
Yes, it's so imaginative.
Where did it come from? Basically, me being crazy in my sleep and being like, what would happen if I took Sailor Moon and the cyberpunk genre and mashed them together with like ocean aliens?
That's a nuts dream.
Yep.
Annie, would you say that's an accurate description of that story?
I think so. Yeah.
and it's like
a nightmare.
Sailor Moon.
Yeah. Who's Sailor Moon? Okay. Yeah. It's great. It's great.
Well, keep talking, ladies. I just
right.
wanted to start you off. Let's do this.
So Bonnie, are you aware that you are the first author ever to have basically every possible Soundbooth theater male in your book?
No, I didn't realize that.
Well, you are. How does that make you feel, Bonnie?
Apparently I'm a collector now. Good
Yeah?
to know.
You've collected all of. Well, actually, we have Harlan now.
Yeah,
Technically,
you don't have the full set,
so
but that's okay. I'm a special edition.
he's a
I mean,
special
there's
edition.
always book 2, right?
Harlan is
yeah.
DLC.
Yeah. Are you working on book 2? Are you working
Paid
on
Yeah.
book 2
DLC.
yet?
Yeah, I'm I want to say probably 3/4 done with book 2.
Wow, that's awesome. So okay, some of my favorite things about this book are the I love the scenes where she's like changing clothes. The whole scene where she goes in and buys clothes, and the scenes where she's changing clothes, it's like in a bracelet. Like all of her outfits are like in a bracelet, and she can basically just like change them at will anytime she wants. That is such a beautiful idea to me. Like, I love that so much. Did you come across that somewhere else, or did that just kind of come out of your dreams?
So that's kind of a trope throughout various genres of anime and like high fantasy, Eastern fantasy, and so on, where there's like an item that is connected to a pocket dimension.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
cool.
so I wanted to do a twist on that, but with kind of the cyberpunk sci-fi alien setting instead of being, fully high fantasy.
Cool.
A bag of holding.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also have to say, like, I just really want to try all of this food. Like, you're so good with food descriptions. And I think it's really, I love how it, in detail you go with like how different, like how to human taste buds, the food tastes like this very specific thing, and then to Sildrari taste buds, it tastes completely different. Do you have an experience of food tasting really different to you than it does to other people?
To some extent, yeah. Like a good example would be I can't stand rhubarb.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Like I have some friends who absolutely love rhubarb, and they were telling me about this like strawberry rhubarb cheesecake they had.
And you're like,
yeah, and then they were describing to me what rhubarb tastes like to them, and I was like,
Heaven.
that is not what that tastes like. Rhubarb tastes like grass. Are you crazy? Why are you eating grass?
Do you like cilantro? Are you one of those?
Oh yeah.
I do like cilantro.
You do?
No.
Yeah.
I
No,
love it.
Jeff
can't
doesn't.
stand it.
Soap.
What about Annie?
It's soap.
I
It
love
tastes like soap.
cilantro. cilantro,
Okay.
as you put it.
Sorry, I'm
You're
Canadian. I don't
Canadian,
know.
I know.
I'm Canadian.
Say cilantro too.
I love it. Well, I wouldn't eat like a mouthful of it, but I love it in salsa. I love it. I love it sprinkled on stuff.
Yeah, I've never met anyone that didn't like rhubarb though.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that's an odd one.
Totally a freak you are.
But I totally get it.
Cucumber.
Are you talking about like raw rhubarb or like cooked into a pie? Like, did you? Because if you take it from the
Both.
ground and take a bite of it, it's terrible. Okay.
Both.
Just-
So another thing about Sildrari are that you can that their skin changes colors like Technicolor, crazy color changes. They're basically like walking mood rings.
Yes.
So you can totally see their emotions. I would hate that so much. That would be fucking horrible.
Right?
Why? That'd be so cool though.
Well, it'd
I would
cool
be able to
see
walk in the
everybody
street and be like,
else's
Annie,
emotions.
you're so pissed off. What's wrong? What happened? Let me
Yeah, no,
sympathize.
probably. If I were born into a society where I just like grew up knowing that all my emotions were going to be on display and everybody else's were, well, that would really be a game changer, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, in our
That would
society, it's
change
like
so many things.
Yeah.
you say
And-
something, you get pissed off. It's like,
Yeah.
why are you pissed off right now? You shouldn't
Yeah.
be pissed off. Why?
Yeah.
You can't be like, I'm not.
You're
I mean,
like, oh,
you're blue.
or you'd like immediately
You're
spot misunderstandings, or you'd
Yeah.
immediately be like, oh, this girl is totally faking this orgasm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arousal would be a tough one.
Yeah.
You're like, why are you
Good
so
for
turned
you.
on right
Which,
now, Mom?
again, it
Yeah.
would really save a lot of trouble and time.
But you can also
Um,
lie about them too if you were like the only one, right? You could be like, oh, blue? Oh, this is when I'm hot.
That's
Secret.
true.
Yeah.
Which there's a
You have to
little
go
bit
to
of
the
that
bathroom.
happens near the beginning of the book.
Oh.
Damn it, there was something on the tip of my tongue.
What color was
I
it?
lost it.
I'd rather not say.
I'd like to hear something. I'd like to hear more about the racism in this book.
Yes.
Yeah, because the Sildrari totally dunk on humans all the time.
Yeah.
Speciesism. Or however the hell you say that word.
Same.
Speciesism.
Speciesism.
Species.
Are you
Same.
championing? Are you like,
Same.
what's wrong with humans? What's wrong with us?
Yeah.
You're doing wrong.
Yeah, that actually is my attitude. What the?
Are you
what the fuck,
defending
man?
us?
What
We're
the
the
fuck?
Go against humans. You like bears?
Yeah, what the fuck, dude? I'm human.
Well,
No, you're
We're- you
not.
know,
None of
we're,
us
like,
are human,
sneaky and
Jeff.
deceitful because we can hide our emotions. That's
Oh, is that it?
basically our
Mm.
original.
Liars, we're fucking
Pack
liars.
of dishonest
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
I do love this power fantasy that you're talking about. though.
We're
I mean,
a pack of dishonest motherfuckers, basically.
it's true. I love this idea of this little wristwatch gadget power fantasy thing. It's kind of like
Mm.
a lot of these novels that I see are the ultimate like, oh god, I wish I had that. How many things? Sorry, I don't mean to ask questions, but I'm
No,
curious
ask
on it.
questions.
Well, how many things in this novel were like a bit of a, oh god, I wish I had that when you came up with them? Because to me, and similarly to Annie, as she said, having that is a bit of a, and I've read some of these novels where people are writing about these things that they wish they had. Is there anything that came to mind that was so satisfying to write, aside from the food, that just felt like it was getting off your chest,
Like a
I
bra.
think a lot of the cultural quirks with the Sildrari, because I find a lot of stuff in Western cultures just doesn't make logical sense. So I was like, okay, how can I fix this, but also apply it to a really weird alien race?
Right.
That's
It's really
great.
cool. I was explaining earlier, like how much more interesting, like at least the reverse harems that I've come across are than like just harem. Like it's just a totally different ball game. I love how you go into the different kinds of like relationships and what is like completely like totally irrelevant and like almost impossible to understand to Sildrari. That's like a total norm for humans, and I can relate to a lot of that stuff, so that's fun. I feel vindicated as I'm like narrating this.
But that's wonderful. I think that's such a fantastic story that when you're reading it, you feel powerful just as
I'm
the
like,
author did.
I'm a Sildrari. That's what's been going on with me this whole
But that's-
time.
And that's to me, that's exactly what I'm trying to, that the power fantasy, like in which way, those are the ways that you got to sort of sow your oats and kind of be like, yes, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I want to
freeing. Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool. Nothing feels more therapeutic than getting to write, a story like that to sort of talk through those fantasies and have them come to fruition.
I know I connect with it a lot. And I like the different, the many different sexes of Sildrari.
Yes. That was basically me being like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, but this is interesting too. But also over here, this is really cool too. So what if I just take all this and mash it together and see what happens and see what kind of culture springs from it? Because I basically started with the idea that I wanted aliens. And then I decided on ocean-based aliens. So I started looking at different like deep sea creatures and whatnot from Earth and how I could incorporate that, which is where like the glowing mood ring stuff came from. And then I was like, well, you know, there's all sorts of weird stuff that goes on with the reproduction of sea life. Like just the easy example being male seahorses being the ones that get pregnant.
Yeah. Oh, and clownfish. My God.
Mm-hmm.
The clownfish are all born male. And then like as they get like as you feed them and they get stronger, they become female.
Yeah.
And then like you like and then they become like the dominant clownfish and then the male comes in and like the females. It's so fascinating. And it doesn't turn into a female until you take the other female away. Then it can like grow and become the top, which is very similar. I mean, like as far as hierarchies go, that's definitely the case in this book.
Mm-hmm.
How does that science work with clownfish? Like, because they're weak, they can only produce the smaller gametes. But then once they're bigger, they are able to produce the larger gametes.
They're fucking clowns.
I have no idea. It's crazy
Life
though.
Life finds a way. Although this conversation does remind me a lot of Laura Dern in that movie, where she's like, "Dinosaur eat man, woman inherits the earth," which is like one of the fucking best lines of Jurassic. Was there anything in the book that you were like kind of nervous about that you put in and you're kind of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that, or you know what I mean? Or was it all just...
So there were a few things which I ran by close friends of mine because there were a few things with the main character that I didn't want anyone who's like a plural system, which, you know, dissociative identity disorder. I didn't want that to get confused with this trait of Alara because I don't want to upset anyone in that regard. And I knew that with the way Alara would black out and have memory issues, some people might take that wrong. So I ran that by one of my friends who has DID. And then there's also the whole thing with the Sildrari having more than binary sexes. I wanted to make sure that I didn't upset anyone with my approach to that because I wanted to take the inclusive route with it. I didn't want to, you know, make it seem like a joke or like a fetishist thing or anything like that. I wanted it to be a very like serious, this is just who these aliens are. This is how they evolved.
That's awesome. And it's tough sometimes to walk that line because sometimes you want to honor this idea, but you worry about people thinking it's satirizing it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, consulting with someone is such a smart move, and frankly, not enough people do it. You know, just to be like, hey, like, does this? I don't want to be insensitive about this, but I want to include it because it's important. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my pet peeves. Like as an author, when I'm like, you know, just looking at author groups either on social media or Discord or whatever. Is you'll see people ask these really important questions in the author groups, and either other authors will be really dismissive of it, like it doesn't matter just because it's fiction, or people will ask it there and there's no one that can actually answer the question in that specific community. So they just go with whatever it was that was on their mind instead of looking for someone who can actually answer those questions for them.
Yeah, you have to have it from an informed source, somebody who might be going through it, somebody who's experiencing that. Otherwise, if you're like, you know, if you're writing a story about somebody who's dealing with something and you ask just a regular white dude who has nothing in common with that protagonist, hey, James, do you think this is cool if I do with this? And they're like, yeah, man, it's totally cool. It's like, what the fuck you doing?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
actually a really good example of something that I make sure that I ask for feedback from friends on. Is I will sometimes write from the male perspective, and I have written sex scenes from the male perspective before
to get their approval. And then swap it?
I'm like, okay, so this is how all of that actually works, right?
That's good. That's really good. That's awesome. The penis does it kind of wraps around the other penis, right? And it kind of has like a finger trap
Fully
scenario.
prehensile. A lot of people know that. Like,
Very prehensile, right?
It takes some prepreparation, but you can get there.
Oh yeah.
You lift with it for 5 minutes a day, right?
Hey, just
yeah.
works. It's great. No, that's important though. Having, again, for that exact reason, you want to be informative and show these things, but you don't want to be part of the problem, filling more, issues in an already frankly saturated market with people misunderstanding stuff like this. It sounds really exciting. I'm excited to read it.
And even if there's like tropes that are in common, you can let like it comes from a far more real place, and you're like, well, they did the same thing, but like this is well informed.
Yeah,
it's kind of
exactly.
We're gonna have a great night, baby.
That's a really good mental image.
Remember Naked Gun? You ever watch the Naked Gun where they're wearing like full body condoms?
Yes.
Oh
Full
man,
body condom.
I haven't seen that movie since I was like 4.
Oh man, that'd be worth a rewatch. I'll bet it stands the test of time.
It somewhat does. OJ is a main character in it, so
yeah,
he went through a bit of a tumultuous period. No, but he's still great in it. And I mean, Leslie Nielsen is a Canadian, so he's part of our we watched that in school.
I just want to. I want to watch the national anthem scene again at the very least.
That's right. Yeah, it's a good scene. All of his movies are so good.
Wasn't he like a super serious actor? Then he hit a certain age and
exactly.
was like, "I'm just going to do dumb shit," and that like sold the most.
If you ever want a really inspirational little video, watch him on any of those talk shows, like Johnny Carson, whenever. He would always bring a little fart machine and he put it in his pocket. Because the thing is, the way Leslie Nielsen tells a joke is he never tells a joke. He says it serious. Every one of his lines is delivered serious. Doesn't matter. Watch any of his movies. He's always being serious, and people laugh at him. That's what's so fucking good about him.
It is good. That is good. That's a great.
Because
that's a great trait, a great quality.
Speaking of that, if you've seen Schitt's Creek, there is a scene at the very end of the series that the mother Moira. I don't want to spoil it because the thing happens. It's cool, but like the way she acts it out is the most impressive comedic acting I've ever seen.
Really?
The mom in
Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, she's so
the
good.
best.
She's so famous. I love all of those Christopher Guest films.
Yes,
you've seen.
God, yes.
Waiting for Guffman and Mighty Wind and fucking they're all so
Best
good.
in show.
It's called Docking. That's the word I was thinking. Docking. Yeah, you're right. That's Docking.
So Bonnie, have you tried? You like cooking. You're very imaginative in you like to try new things. Have you made any attempts at cooking one of these dishes or making one of these drinks that you describe?
So kind of. I've got a folder on my computer where I have several Word documents for things I want to figure out the recipe for. And I've just kind of been adding to that over time. I started that with Deck of Souls because people really, really, really wanted the like crepe meat breakfast wrap thing.
Oh, God,
like
yes.
I got so many comments.
I wanted that so bad. I wanted it. And
can you share that with me? I would love to try and figure those out.
I will.
Sorry, I think my roommate's downstairs and I didn't realize it. I was like, what?
Cooking great. Something smells good.
Is this an intruder? I'm busy.
So the cake, what was it was like part shortbread, part cake with raspberry.
Oh yeah.
It sounded so good.
I need to make that.
Damn, that sounded good.
You should have a recipe book going alongside, like a little PDF with like some, recipes from the book.
I've gotten so many comments about the food descriptions in my books, or I'll get DMs or emails sometimes about it, and they're like, "Hey, do you have a recipe for that? You should put that in the back of the book." And I'm like,
totally should.
I should. I don't, but I should.
Bonnie's
Did you ever read that book, Like Water for Chocolate?
I have not.
It's a great book.
Seems like a bad trade, though.
It's like magical, like recipes that sort of made supernatural things happen. It's a wonderful book. But there was a recipe for each dish at the end of the chapter.
Nice.
That's cool. The stream loves food. We got
Yeah.
American Fork. We got now
Gary
just
Simmons
food.
wants.
I think everyone's
lemon
hungry,
bread.
right?
Yeah.
That's just what we're saying.
And I've been
Um,
binge watching MasterChef recently, and I look at my chapters that I've been working on, and I'm just like, oh god, it's bleeding in.
What should I name this character? Okay, Gordon and Ramsay walk to the. Oh shit! Is it OG MasterChef or the junior or I don't know? There's probably another
It's
one. Right?
OG. I started at season 4, and I'm like on season 6 now.
I
They both
started
have very
watching-
different Gordon Ramsays.
Yeah. I love Kitchen Nightmares, like old school Ramsay. I hate whatever he is in now. I watched a bit of the MasterChef Junior, but the Great British Bake Off is the one I spent most of my food watching time on.
So good.
But Paul
So-
Hollywood is such a
I hate
fuck.
to derail this conversation, guys.
Sorry.
But Bonnie, about the book. I just want to know if you're actually 2/3 into the second book. How do I put this? Have I had the opportunity to have the full experience of
Sildrari hospitality.
Sildrari hospitality?
Yes.
Yes.
All
That's all I
right.
needed to know.
Now full round of applause.
Congratulations.
Break out the
had
body
sex.
condom.
Sildrari Bake Off.
There we go.
Thank you so much, Bonnie, for joining us.
Thank you, Bunny.
Thanks for having me.
That's Song of the Depths. Everyone, watch out on Audible. It's coming out
It's
any
coming.
day.
It's coming. It's coming.
Any day. Any day now. If you just can't wait, I put the link to the Kindle version in the chat. And I have to say one other thing. When I was a kid, I always confused Leslie Nielsen with John Donahue. So,
I'm
Bonnie,
glad you
thank
said that.
so
That
much.
was important information.
I don't know who
I
John
don't know who John
Donahue
Donahue
is.
is.
Oh,
Yeah, me neither.
He was a talk show host.
Ooh.
He's a talk show host, and he I kind of doesn't. He just another guy with white hair. You know, that's it.
Google
That's
just says, "Did you mean John Donahue?"
Donahue.
No person. You made
anyone who's a '90s kid from the U.S. should remember who that is. I don't know. Anyway, Bonnie, you were great. And thank you so much for coming and telling us all about Song of the Depths. Everyone watch out for her new audiobook coming out any second.
That's awesome.
Any moment now.
Later, Bonnie.
Soon.
Nice meeting you, Bonnie.
Later.
Nice meeting you.
Bye, Bon Bon.
Bye bye.
All right, now it's time.